can they? Oh, they can.
Oops. All right. Boom, 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 everybody. Hope you are having an amazing Saturday and a great weekend so far. I want to thank you for joining me. My name is Don Terrell, and this is The Color of Motion. We are here every Saturday afternoon, 3 p.m. Central Time, live to the YouTube channel, LinkedIn, the Facebook group, and the website for the show. But I want to thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you are looking forward to this as much as I've been looking forward to this. This is going to be a fun show for sure. But again, I want to welcome you today. You know the drill. Jump into the comments, say hey, where you tuning in from, so I can give you the shout out you just so richly deserve. Hey there, Granny, Miss Maggie, appreciate you tuning in as always, for sure. Make sure that, you jump on over to the Facebook group community, get plugged in, facebook.com/The Color of Motion. We definitely don't want you to miss out on anything. We have a lot of great conversation over there, share industry news, and just all around fun. So again, make sure you get plugged in, facebook.com/The Color of Motion, /groups/The Color of Motion. Also, you can join us on Instagram, The Color of Motion. Like I said, I'm still working on trying to live stream from there now that we can live stream into Instagram on the show. But you can follow us. Like I said, we're always looking to grow and build the community for sure. Also, like I said, we do stream to YouTube, which, like I said, we really do want to get more people into the YouTube channel for sure. So you can hop on over to youtube.com/Don Terrell. Subscribe, hit the bell notification. Make sure you always comment too, because that definitely helps the algorithm and helps the channel to grow. And there you will be able to check out all the other past great guests we've had on the show, all the other content I put on the channel, and make it a good one for sure. Also, the store is open. Definitely want you to hop on over, pick you up some swag items. Go to thecolorofmotion.net/swag. We got some t-shirts, hoodies, mugs. Like I said, we're always putting new things into the shop. So you can scan the barcode on the screen, or again, like I said, hop on over to thecolorofmotion.net/swag. Pick you up something nice, maybe for yourself, or maybe for a gift for somebody as well. My only request is if you do pick up something, take a picture of yourself, shoot it on over to me so we can share it on the show, and share it on all our social channels as well. Let me go on over here. I want to hop on over to this scene. All right. Mr. DeMille, happy Saturday to you there, brother. Appreciate you, as always, tuning in and, again, making this the best show that we can make it. Like I said, I've been super looking forward to this episode for a while. When I came across these sisters last year at Afro Animation, I said, I got to have them on the show. Got to have them on the show. So they graciously agreed, and really looking forward to sitting down, talking with them, and really diving into their journey and the industry as a whole. So, without further ado, I think we can kind of get this ball rolling here. My next guest, yes, you got two for the price of one. My next guests are a writing team. Shawnelle and Shawnee Gibbs are the authors of the upcoming HarperCollins graphic novel Ghost Roast, which they're currently promoting right now. They have both served as staff writers for Warner Brothers Animation and have written for Dreamworks Animation, Mattel Studios, Cartoon Network, and doing so many other things. Originally from Oakland, California, the pair currently work and live and play in Los Angeles. Everybody, please help me welcome my very special guests and friends, Shawnelle and Shawnee Gibbs.
Hey, hey. Oh. Wow. Listen at that crowd. My God, we're in the amphitheater. Thank you for having us, Dom.
Thank you for being on. Like I said, I just fell in love with you both when I saw you on the panel at Afro Animation, and like I said, I just knew I had to have you on because you two have such a fun dynamic, which we're gonna get into. Because I know how I am with my family, so I don't know.
Oh my goodness, Don, the feeling is mutual, I have to say. When we met you, we loved you, and we knew we wanted to come on your show. It's amazing. We love what you do, so thank you for having us.
Thank you. Let me try and throw this on and see where it's going to show up. Zelly, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Zelly, appreciate you tuning in. Make sure you continue to watch the show, support the show, share the channel. It definitely helps, like I said, me do what I do and continue to bring this kind of content to you each and every Saturday. So thank you all the viewers for tuning in and supporting the show. And as always, I appreciate my friends coming on and really, helping the show as well. I can't do it without either of y'all. So I have to start because, like I said, we had a conversation just before the show. What were you both like as children growing up? Because you seem very, very close.
Oh yeah, we're close. And if you were interested in, and we're also twin sisters. So
Okay.
we've been together since the womb. We've been creatively working together, trying to figure out our space situation, and annoying our mother. No, I'm just joking. Bringing her great joy and pride. So yeah, we shoot. If you were going good twin, bad twin,
Good twin, bad twin.
good twin,
Shardae's,
bad twin.
she's trying to sell it. Shardae's trying to sell it.
Well, she does. She's always had a halo. So I will give her with that. That is the truth. She's always been our sweetie. And yeah, so we just our family growing up. We grew up in Oakland. Our grandmother and her sister were twins,
Oh,
and
wow.
how they made it west from the south is multiple stories within within the world of stories. But our grandmother was came to Oakland after an incident had her having to leave the south on what they call a midnight rail.
Yeah.
And so she made it our so we have a lot of storytelling in our as a part of our fireside chats in our family. So storytelling was always a huge thing. Everybody is so funny, and a lot of our family members who inspired us in that way are now ancestors. But we carry those stories that they have, shared with us, and they're always larger than life figures. Our grandmother was a big fan of westerns, and so like they just felt like that to us, and these were Black women and, Black men, and like, just that power and energy and the color and laughter that storytelling brought for us, and they just became heroes to us. So very early on, I think we just got comfortable being flies on the wall,
Yeah.
documenting, creating stories, and then just having a really strong sense of self from those stories that helped us to, get our courage and everything that we ended up having.
Okay. I'm going to go out on a limb. You can tell me if I'm wrong. But Shawnee, were you the first one out of the womb or?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Well done. It's tapping into something. Yeah, I was the first one
Right.
out of the womb. Yeah. So
Okay.
I'm the oldest, but they say in some, I think, African traditions that the second born is considered the oldest because in their tradition, they believe that they were the first in the womb. So they
Okay.
send the other one out. This is what they say. They send the other one out to go be like, okay, make sure
So,
it's
so
safe.
you pushed her out,
And then yeah,
Shawnee, and he's like, you go
listen.
out first and see if it's
We
okay.
needed to location scout. I need to figure out what's going on out there because I don't really. If is it too cold? What is the food like?
He said, you go out
Listen,
first. Tell
Don,
me what it's like before I come out.
come on. And that's Shawnelle the whole time. But if my mom has a story that when Shawnelle began walking first, and like our mom would put us in the walkers, and Shawnelle would, since she was walking and like zooming past and zooming around, she would try to run me over, Don. In her walker, she was like coming after me or whatever. But it's just funny. Our we just have had a great time growing up together. Our dynamics are just apparent in the way that we work. I mean, people always think, "Oh, you're twin sisters. You must like think the same and have the same sensibilities." And yes, we do have like some of the same sensibilities, but our different perspectives really give our work something special,
Yeah.
something unique, and it's like
Yep.
you can attack a script, a story, with two sets of eyes, which we've been really enjoying over the
Yeah.
years in our
Yeah.
career.
Well, I mean, at what age did both of you kind of realize that you enjoyed doing the same thing, writing, and it was something that you know, like I said, both wanted to kind of go on that journey, or did you initially kind of have different things that you thought you might get into?
I've
Yeah,
got a
growing up. Yeah,
oh,
sorry.
Chanel, yeah. I just got to shout out our mom for
That's what I
her.
was gonna do.
Oh my goodness, there we are,
The
twinning there.
twins
But
thing, it's the twin thing, people.
yeah, my mom early on, she was a preschool teacher, so we had a very special upbringing. So she was a preschool teacher.
Our
She
mom and our
worked
aunt.
at our mom and our aunt worked at a preschool in North Oakland that was owned by a family friend. So every morning we would go to work with our mom before we went to our own schools or preschools, and
Yeah.
so we got to go into this space. There was creativity all around. There was paper, arts, music, instruments. It was like, so we got to go in and it was like a place of imagination.
Yeah.
So our mom inspired in us a love for reading, a love for writing early on. And she was also a closeted artist. So she taught us how to draw and just passed that along. So the combination was like she planted the seeds early in us. So the combination of like reading and writing and combining that together in art was like the seeds of everything that came next: the animation, the comic books, the storytelling. So it was just amazing growing up in the Bay Area with our mom and our sort of special, playground that we came out of.
Yeah. Cause the other thing was it became like a way to communicate with us and our mom. Like she would always buy us um, sketchbooks and
Yeah.
show us new techniques and things. I remember being in church growing up. My mom would and this was quietly, nobody knew what was going on. That's the other thing because it was like our little secret thing. But like on the back of the church program, my mom would like be teaching us how to draw houses and like, you know what I mean? Like we would be doing stuff like that. And so it just became this like way that we connected and communicated in the house. Shanae and I like competing to see who could do the shading of the cheeks and all, all that kind of stuff. Or like we go to the circus and then we take one of the circus programs and then we're drawing like the ringmaster in our, sketchbooks and all that kind of stuff. So that became a language for us, the illustration, but also writing because, and reading because our mom, even we would go to the library a lot, but we'd also go to the Ashby Flea Market in Berkeley. I don't know if you are familiar with the Bay Area, but right next to North Oakland is Berkeley. And there's a BART station. Shout out to the BART stations up there. That they would, deck out the parking lot every weekend on a Saturday. And we would go there with our mom for books. So we would just get books for cheap and she would encourage us to come back and, if we found drawing books or whatever. So that inspired our love for stories as well. It fed our imagination. And so both of us actually took learned to communicate strongly through words. That's a part of it. But a lot of that started, at home.
Yeah. You kind of answered my next question, which was how, your parents or your mother really encouraged you in your passion for writing. And it seems like I said, with her, being a creative person, a writer, artist, really made sure that you had the arts around you to really.
There's one great story. Maury Turner. I don't know if you know Maury Turner, the creator of We Pals. Which was a syndicated comic in the 60s and 70s and 80s for a long time in the Oakland Tribune where we grew up. And he was a local hero. When my mom grew up, he came to her school and she was just so shy. That was the thing. This is why I think she poured into us. Like, y'all getting up on stage. You're going to go do the oratorical fest. You're going to go talk to these people. You're going to, because she remembered it was a painful time where Maury Turner had come to her school and she was a really great artist. But when he asked if, the kids wanted to get up and show their work or come talk to him at the end of it, she was too shy to do it. So I think she poured that into us too, just communication.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it seems like that's a great thing where, like you said, you're not shy. You're able to, express yourself in a
or
fun
work
way.
Through it.
Because, I've talked to a lot of creatives, trust me, and I've had a few on the show that they're really quiet. You can tell they're like, we just do our work. We don't really they don't like being on camera, that type of thing. Or I won't say don't like, but they're not used to being on camera, not used to, I guess, showing their maybe outward personality. And maybe their personality is they're really kind of low key, so to speak.
Yeah.
But you two don't seem like that's an issue with you.
Well, I think it's something we work with young people.
Yeah.
And Shawnelle and I have had an interesting trajectory in entertainment. So we've worked in a lot of different capacities, like producing for nonfiction. And there are some personalities that are personality types that especially like if you're an artist, you know what I mean? You pour a lot, you express yourself through your drawing, like you can look at an artist's work and you can see everything, that they have to say. And so for some people hey, look at my art, can you see what I'm saying? Right. And then when it's time to talk about the art, it's like, I don't want to talk that's not me. I'm not that person. And so I think both of us relate to that, and one thing that I encourage young people to do, especially when they're a personality types that likes to, that might be a little more low key, as you say, is to just get out there, like get the hang of talking about your work, even though it might be uncomfortable, but then there's plenty of capacities that you can work in behind the scenes, that you can be an editor or whatever, just, hey, I'm back here. Y'all do the on camera stuff.
That's the thing that I do love about writing is that, or
in particular writing our own independent work, is that we do, because I am, introverted in a way, you know, and
That's hard
I
to
like to be,
believe.
I enjoy my time alone. Let me just say that I enjoy
Okay,
my
I
time
get that.
alone. I like people. I am so nosy. That's the other thing. I am so interested in people's backstories. Like, there's so much that I want to ask you about, your brain and how this all works for you to do this production,
Listen, y'all, and
as
we have been
as fluently
asking.
as you. And we've been asking. He's been like, giving us little nuggets. But like,
Hey, don't you
I just
guys
know.
feel like they need their own show?
Yeah, but I just
If
had
y'all
to.
believe that, put that in the chat or make a comment, because they need their own show. The Gibbs Sisters.
Thank you. When I come out into, I'm just very interested in people and stuff like that. So but I do enjoy being an artist and being a writer. I love, just writing and soaking up. I love listening to dialogue. I haven't been doing that as often as I used to, but I just would take a notebook and just, oh my God, go to the grocery store and just laugh at people and like what they were saying and like put it in my notebook and stuff like that, when I was an early writer. But just like, I just enjoy life and people. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
cool to be able to sponge it up and then put it into our work, and then also come out and meet people and stuff like that, because it is kind of lonely when you are just in the house writing sometimes.
Yeah, and I do have to say, that I think in this day and age, like with everything being so, things are fast and people want to know about the artist now. Back
yeah,
in the day, you could be a quiet artist, your art hangs up in a museum, and everybody wonders and they write retrospective pieces on your work,
yeah,
and you could just hang back. But now it's almost like people want to know, they want
yeah,
to know what you have to say as an artist. So it's like you have to, um, comfortably. It doesn't have you don't have to do it painfully or anything, but just develop both those sides, like being able to do your art and then coming out and like peeking your head around if you're,
yeah,
low key,
yeah,
and talking about it, because people nowadays, like, they really want to know. They're like, I love this artist and I want to know more,
yeah,
about their story.
yeah.
So it's an
And in
important
particular,
component, I think, to
sorry.
do a little bit of both.
Go ahead,
Oh, go
Chanel.
ahead, Chanel.
Oh, I was just also in particular in animation, because we've come out of rooms that are script based rooms. We've come out of board based rooms, and board based rooms are very highly social spaces. Even like Shanae was giving advice to some of the younger artists. Even I say improv will help you in
That's what I
a
heard.
sort of
Yeah,
board based environment, because once you get your outlines or your script, if you work that way, the words from the writers, um, being able to embarrass yourself in front of a room full of people, really, to just like physically, or go for things that will have you looking foolish. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And in a daily sort of hourly, by moment sort of situation, that and even just to use your body in different ways as you animate, is very helpful for the craft.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and I would say the more, you're okay with looking foolish and being all right and surviving it, I think the
yeah,
better you will just. I think it's just a good life sort of thing. Like, okay, that happened,
yeah. Not taking
and moving
yourself
forward.
so
Yeah,
seriously. I think that's a good thing. And
yeah.
I have heard that improv is a great way to help you do that, is to, really kind of let yourself go, for
Mm.
sure. While we're getting along with this conversation, I want to throw in a few chat comments here. Miss Zelly, kudos to your mom. Blessings and love to her.
Oh,
Oh,
thank you,
Awesome.
thank
She
Zelly.
definitely did an
you.
amazing job, as you can tell.
We'll
Uh,
tell her.
we got
She'll
our
have to
first
keep.
question here from Demille. for your guests. Are they Raiders fans or 49ers fans? Yeah, if you don't say 49ers, he might cut you off because DeMille is a hardcore 49ers. I'm sure he's gonna love tomorrow the game, so he's jumping up and down for joy.
Oh wow, that is funny. I'm a fair weather anything. So I'm when we're up, we're up. The Raiders are no longer, but they will be back as
Oh
they
yeah, that's
always do
right.
come back home,
Yeah,
Just but yeah,
I
it's
don't
the
know.
Raiders.
I've been out to Vegas. They're treating them pretty good.
Oh
Oh
no.
no.
They
Well,
built them
LA
an
did at
amazing.
some point too.
They built them an amazing stadium. I mean, I didn't see their old one, but this new one is it. It's amazing.
Oh, it
Listen,
might be a
Oakland is
while. Yeah. Oh, it's probably going to be a good 15 years. Okay,
I
we
think
can wait. We
so.
waited it out before. But yeah, Oakland is, we're losing all of our teams. We lost the
Yeah,
I
Warriors to San
know.
Francisco. We're losing the A's. It's so sad.
yeah.
But yeah, when the Raiders are not playing, I'm always rooting for the Bay Area team. So 49ers, let's go. Let's do it. Let's
Yeah, we actually watched
yeah.
the game was it last week?
See,
Yeah.
show how much who they played Detroit.
DeMille saying, "You just gave it away. You just gave it away."
I'm just gonna be
I
there for
watched the
Usher
game.
and Usher and the 40.
Oh man! For those of you just jumping into this crazy conversation we're having some fun though with my friend and guest Shawnelle and Shawnee Gibbs, TV. Well, and I want to ask you too: were you always did you always think animation, or as writers were you thinking even wanting to do film, live action type of writing for that as well? Or have you found a great home and space in animation?
Sure. I mean, it's a long our careers and joint careers is a long winding road that we could be here for 3 hours discussing.
I heard
But
that.
and initially we well, since we knew we had writing talent and artistic talent, it just was something that we not only used to communicate and to like impress our friends with, but also to entertain ourselves with. I mean,
Mm,
because we had video games, we had TV and all sorts of stuff. We were doing normal kid stuff, but we were also the stories were just coming from the beginning. It feels like, I mean, even before we knew that what comics were, because we didn't uh, read traditional trades, like we were Sunday comics sort of kids.
yeah.
But before we knew there were careers in comics and animation, we were creating these things, and before we had language to explain, and we were also writing hardcore. So at some point, I think either one or both of us thought we were going to go write for Essence, because we were editors at the high school newspaper. This is Oakland Technical High School, OT.
OT.
This was the Scribe newspaper, and we have both risen up the ranks to be editors and also do a lot of video work. So we were finding that we could, we were naturally gifted in the creative arts. So not only were we doing like these investigative reports and also just documenting what was happening at the school, we were adding humor to like our titles of our articles and things like that, adding a little humor, and then just gaining fans in while writing these stories. Like, I didn't think anybody read that was the thing, I didn't think anybody read the school
You
newspaper.
surprised
And
who's
then
watching you and
yeah,
reading you.
exactly. And then kids would be like, oh yeah, I saw that article you guys did, and I was like, oh my god, you guys are actually reading this is cool. So we would do little comic illustrations from time to time. We would do illustration. We would, do the editing work, but also so it was just part of the way we communicated. We also ended up going to film school after taking a couple of detours. I'll let Shanae explain that. Yeah, we went to film school in San Francisco. And
Okay.
I think at the same time, like as we were going to film school in exploring storytelling. We knew, like Shawnelle was saying, we are artists, and all the technology started coming to allow you to create those, to create motion graphics, animation. So there was After Effects, there was Flash, there was all sorts of things. So we started putting it together and creating our own animations in college. So we were doing all sorts of stuff that led to us doing web animation and short films. And we,
All while
even though,
not being in the animation
oh
department,
my
which
God, can I?
the
Yes,
film
this is,
school had an animation department, by the way.
so this was one,
which school was this? Which
this was
films?
San Francisco State.
Okay.
Yeah, up in San Francisco. But this was one thing. This is something that we learned was we were too intimidated to apply to the animation department. Even though we've been kind of making our own little animation thing, we knew the department existed. We were like, "There's a portfolio." Oh no, we're probably not going to be good enough. Let's just go into cinema because we still want to, we want to tell stories for cinema. Cinema is still,
Yeah.
adjacent. And so we were too nervous, scared, whatever, intimidated, and dated to apply. And then, like, man, at least a year later, we saw some other people's portfolio. We were like, we could have. What were we thinking?
What is this?
Yes. But the other thing is, like, it taught us what the lesson was. If you have it in your heart to go for something, go for it, and don't worry about whether you're good enough or not. Show your work and see what happens. So that's something that we had to learn to lean into. Like, okay, I'm okay. I can be good enough for this. But yeah, went to film school. Ended up coming to Los Angeles. And we knew we were going to be working on the next great film. And then we had to find jobs. So we worked in nonfiction programming for a few years, but all the while we were producing for TV shows like Food Network, National Geographic Channel, all sorts of networks, we were learning how to continue to tell stories, because it's just still storytelling. That's the crux of it all.
Yeah.
Whether you're telling for animation, for comics, it's like, I'm talking about characters, I'm talking about people's needs. It's the same thing, just different mediums. So we continue to tell our own independent animation and comic book stories on the side while we were working in TV. So the don't quit your day job thing. The TV producing was our day job, and it financed us, like it kept us afloat, because you got to have your thing. And it was also teaching us deadlines. It was teaching us like how to work with teams. It was just teaching us all sorts of things. And so when Shawnelle and I said, okay, let's really are we going to do this writing thing? Do we want to really go for it? And we made a decision a few years ago to really go for it. So we've been writing for, as you mentioned, animation companies, comic companies, and recently wrote Ghost Roast, our graphic novel, which just came out this past month. So,
awesome.
There it is.
I gotta get one. Like I said,
Shawnelle's got it advanced.
This was the ARC. Sorry, this is the advanced reader copy. I thought I had but the fully colored, beautiful book. It's getting a lot of great reviews and enthusiasm, and we're very excited about it. So it's really cool.
Nice. And we're definitely gonna dive into that more. I have to ask you. Because, and obviously this is kind of a twin thing with you, working together, and is it with you a package deal when you go to work for companies, or does it just happen to work out that way, or have you worked at companies like Marvel and Cartoon Network separately, or is it always been like you're together?
No,
we're a writing team at the moment, and I think we'll probably stay a writing team forever. And then, like, if we have passion projects or things that we want to do on the side that somebody's like, you know what, no, I don't want to do that, go do it, then we split off to do other things. But our careers in televisions were solo producing careers. We were working at different companies and then doing a lot of things. Actually working, sometimes people would be like, did I just see you Over at not Panera. Where's that place you love? Porto's. Hey, I was in Burbank and I just think I saw you at Porto's. Why didn't you say hi to me?
Oh yeah,
So
that's
we would like
funny because
cross like with
it's so this
producers and stuff like that. It was so
producing world
funny
is so
before we started working
small.
together. Yeah.
Yeah, we would end up like at different companies. We'd be working with people. I'd be working with people Shawnelle worked with and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's so funny. Did I see you at
Oh my
Porto's?
gosh. Oh my gosh.
Munching on a donut and didn't say hi to me.
Yeah. But we love the collaboration process. We love working together. We have a system that really works for our storytelling. And
Yeah.
I think yeah, it's really great. I really enjoy working together. We've ironed out all this stuff from our childhood. And we pour it into the work. It works so well. I mean, like there are I shudder to think sometimes about people doing some of the work that we do by themselves, because we
Mm,
had one project that we had very limited amount of time to do, and the system that we had like broken down to do it, the page count, but the way that we married the scenes that we did seamlessly,
yeah.
I'm just like, how did people do this by themselves?
Yeah,
I
we
mean, and
turned
just
into
because there's
like
so much that,
mathematical. Oh, sorry,
oh
Chanel.
yeah,
We
it gets
turned into
very
mathematical
mathematical.
engineers. It was like if we're gonna make this day, like we need to do that exactly this amount of pages and hit it by the, it was just like all of a
Oh
sudden
Yeah,
we're
do this amount of passes,
multiply
that'll be
size.
there at that particular point. Yeah, so it's just like yeah, the way that we work together, I think, is really unique. We could do it together, we could do it separately, we do it in groups, even in staff writing.
yeah.
We do it with our friends on personal projects. And I don't, I love it. I think it's really special, and I'm glad that we were able to do this work together.
Well, that's good because, like we were talking about beforehand, working with family it can be a challenge. And I know my family. I don't know if I can work with work with my brothers and sisters like that, but definitely, obviously, it serves you two well. And I'm curious to know what different strengths do you feel like each other has that you were just talking about you work together really well, like what strength do you feel you have, Shawnelle, that kind of supports Shawnee? What strength, Shawnee, do you feel really kind of fits and works well with Shawnelle when you guys are working together on a project?
Yeah, what I love about working with Shanae is that she is not going to quit. Like, she has the work ethic that I have. And sometimes, if I'm feeling tired or whatever, like I know she's going the distance. I mean, you know how you've worked in teams or worked with groups
Yeah.
or whatever, and you're like, I'm doing all the heavy lifting or whatever it is. It's like, I know that she is going to go to the wall with it.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate that about her. But we kind of say we're, the Property Sisters of storytelling. I don't know if you know the Property Brothers on HGTV.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like one of them is in the hard hat, one of them has the little
Yeah.
tablet, and they're doing all the, oh, we're gonna make this room so like that is me. One of them's name is Jonathan. I forget who's who.
Yeah.
So Shanae is in the hard hat for sure. Like, she is making sure that the story is up to code. She's making sure that everything is tracking. She's making sure that the earthquake structure is, we're not going to get any issues with that, with the structure and all that sort of stuff. So and then I love that when we're, because a lot of our work infuses comedy. I love her joke punches. Like, she's always going to bring something interesting. There's a joke that we've been together for I don't know how long, but her jokes and things, I'm like, I never would have thought of that. You know what I mean? And so I'm surprised by a lot of what she does and a lot of where she takes the story. That's what I think is so cool about it too.
Thank you, Chanel. I will say that about Chanel too. It's always surprising what she does with the comedy. And it's just like it elevates it each time. Like, it's like I'm like, sometimes I'm like, I've done all I can with this joke. I don't know where I know it's hanging somewhere up in there. And then Chanel will just, I don't know who does the dunks, but she's
Oh
just like
man.
Jordan in it into the hoop or whatever. But Shawnelle is our systems person. I love this about her. Shawnelle is all about her organization. She is like about having systems in place to make everything move efficiently. She's an amazing communicator and just sort of like what is it, like a project manager when it comes to this stuff. And I love that about her. Shawnelle is a beautiful just prose writer. She can just take sentences and make them just, elevate them. And I love that because sometimes if I'm just like, she's worked in.
But Shanae is going to get you to your she's going to get you if there's a word limit or a word, like if there's a minimum,
she's going to make
she is going to get you. Oh my God. She is going to, you're going to look at those pages. You're going to be like, oh my God, she's written like a billion words. You know what I mean? And they're all good and strong and all that sort of stuff. But she does the, like, she's like I'm like, I have like 3 words sometimes. And I'm like, wow. I mean, it's just amazing. I mean, how our brains work differently to attack the goal of creating story,
Yeah, but fits together so well.
Yeah.
And, like I said, it's always a plus to have somebody to bounce things off of. And like I said, you two naturally have each other to bounce ideas and things off of. So as a creative, you always love to have that option to be able to be around somebody that you can kind of feed off of each other. Yeah. We're having some fun here, and everybody's just going crazy in the comments here. So we're going to throw some stuff up here for sure. Obviously, Demille loved your, Raiders, 49ers thing.
Let's go sure. Niners.
Well, my team was out fairly early, so, I'm just riding.
Is it Ohio or,
it's the Browns. It's the Browns. So.
Oh, yeah.
But they made it better. They've done better this year than in there. So I'm expecting big things for next season for sure. Mr. Scribe or Miss Scribe, I'm not sure. How do you bang down the doors to get into the rooms where it happened? Which is a good question. How are you kind of approaching getting into these studios? And again, I don't want to go, I guess, back to like the question I asked before, but like, say like at DreamWorks, were you working together at DreamWorks or was
we
it
were?
Yeah.
So it was a job you applied and or were one of you there beforehand, that type of thing? Or did you just both
You know
go
what?
in?
Okay. Now here's the thing about how we eventually got in the door. So we came to the door long before we got in the door. So it was yes, come on, that's the truth.
I feel there's a story in there somewhere.
There is so many stories in that, and I can't even get into it, but like we walked up to that door with our little tiny sails. We were babies at that point, like, oh my goodness, we're coming to town. And they were like, okay, no, you're not. I mean, you can go back to where you came from. And we were like, oh,
go back to Oakland.
Right. You can go back to wherever that is. We don't even care.
Oh,
and
man.
then, so we, it was just by, I think, being persistent and consistent with creating our own story. I mean, this is time and time again, a lot of people have said this. Some people get in right away, and we've seen them. Some people come, they just, something sweeps them up into, the light, and they're just up there right away. Somebody who came the same day as you can come to town. that door was golden for them. You know what I mean? For whatever reason. And you can't even look at it like that. I mean, I think you just have to find the joy, find your opportunities. And it's hard when you're from, communities where you might not have as much financial support or what I mean to do this sort of stuff, because you notice that with your peers, some of these people are just here having a good time. You know what I'm saying? Like they are just, people are paying their bills. they're just, artistically expressing themselves and doing all this sort of stuff while you have to go to work, like, and work very hard to earn,
Yeah.
a living. And then on top of that, make space to do the work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it taxes a lot of people, and it drains a lot of people. And I think because we had each other, we were able to kind of balance some of that. And it helped us to stay in the game.
Yeah.
Sometimes when we were producing, jobs would open up, and they'll call me, and I'll be like, well, no, and send jobs around to friends and stuff like that. So you become where you create a network. And we do that. We did that in producing. We do that in animation. One of our friends, we got a job on Barbie when we were doing something else. They were like, hey, we want you guys to. We were like, well, we can't be. This was at a time where everybody was getting work.
Yeah.
No, they were like, we were batting them off. We were just, when you're like the hot chick in the club sort of situation. That was what, sometimes, and then it'll get in that, that space. And then sometimes, there's,
it's like, what happened? Where'd everybody go?
Listen, right. And that's the thing about that door. That's the thing about the door of opportunity, or like going up to that door, because it's all about timing with that door. Like Shawnelle said, we came up to that door a little too early. You know what I mean? And it's just like, there are cycles. There's cycles in entertainment. There's just like cycles in everything. And you have to, in the time where maybe that door isn't open, you can still be developing yourself. Like Shawnelle and I were doing web comics. We were doing Fashion Forward, which was a web comic. We did The Invention of E.J. Whitaker, which was a steampunk comic we kickstarted. And that, doing that comic really got our names out there, and really kind of got the momentum going for us, which led to other things. But it's like, in those times, where it doesn't seem like, the door is opening or things are happening, that's where it's a great time to like develop develop your voice. So when the door opens, you're like, this is what I've done. And your team. Because Shawnelle and I, we are a team. We're a writing team, but we also partner with other artists and other creatives. And those people, we've been working with people for many years, and we just help each other move forward towards that door.
Womack, Emily Cannon, we worked with together before we ended up working on Ghost Roast together.
And so it's just like that. So keeping your, and you don't have to do like hokey sort of networking or whatever, but just like staying active, in the work and in the spaces helps to, help you to weather the storms with people who are like-minded too.
Yeah. No, I've definitely come to realize that, like I said, the industry, while it's a big industry, it's a very small community where people know each other, have worked at different places together, work on projects. And that's how, you kind of, like I said, build these relationships. And it's really all about building relationships and that type of community, for sure.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. When we went to Cartoon Network, we worked on a spinoff of Craig Over the Creek called Jessica's Big Little World. We were talking about that at Afro Animation. That really felt like a home for creatives. And there were people who had, fresh out of college, they had come to Cartoon Network, and they had been there for like, 10 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it just felt like, oh my goodness, this is the home of, you know what I mean? This is that sort of a place. And we were working with rock stars who had come up together. You know what I'm saying? So people like Ben and Matt and Tiffany Ford and Deshaun Mahone and all these people who were Ashley and Harrison, they were rock stars to us before we got there. So we got to come in and then just like play with them. And learn from them, and then create community. And it was a really great time. So even within doing that in your own personal world, when you get into these spaces, it just feels like, oh, my people, So it was really cool.
Yeah. And, kind of going into a little bit of what you said, and I don't know if it's maybe a Black thing, but, my mother told me, well, you have to work twice as hard as some people to get in, to get into the door. Do you feel like there have been any major challenges just getting into what's been kind of the biggest challenge, just getting into the room? Because that's a hard, like you
I
said, for some people it's really easy. For other people, it takes a while to really get into it. For you, what was kind of been the biggest challenge, just getting into the room?
I think, like you talked about, relationships is the thing. I think that is the quiet, um, sort of divider. Because a lot of people may have, they can call an uncle, they can call, oh, I know somebody in LA who works in the mailroom or whatever.
Yeah,
For us, we didn't like we came from a background where nobody knew anybody doing anything halfway related to entertainment. Nobody
yeah,
was doing arts. Our mom was a preschool teacher who became a nurse. Everybody
Well,
had
there
like
was
art work.
Jay who worked with Sheila E. and stuff.
Oh
That was
yeah, we
music,
had
though,
yeah, yeah. So I mean, there were glimpses, but there wasn't like a direct. Nobody could pick up a phone and say, "I'm going to connect you with somebody who can get you an agent."
yeah,
So because we are a lot of times our relationships are so not even tapped into that. That is like when you get even. I would say, well, now I'm going to get myself in trouble, but even you know without race on the table, like that is kind of it. I mean, you
yeah,
know what I mean, at the core of it. So it's just like we have to get up to speed when we're young and getting here and like connecting, getting to town or getting wherever you got to get, and
yeah,
then like building those relationships, building that trust, and like getting people to trust that you have the talent and all of that stuff. I think for me personally, I think that had been the biggest hurdle. And then you'll find that when you start having those relationships, as Shawnelle touched on it earlier, like people will just call for jobs. You don't even have to. Some people are like, "Where do I turn in my resume?" It's not even. It's a secret society of people picking up the phone to be like,
yeah,
"Hey, I heard Gibbs Sisters. You worked with this person over here, and we're interested in bringing you in." So it's not even. It's like once you just start having those relationships where people can just call you and say, you know what, I know of your work. I know
yeah,
y'all are good. I know you're doing your thing. Come on in through this door
because
that
it
you
does.
couldn't
It
get in
becomes
before.
night and
Yeah.
day. It becomes night and day, and that's how I also gauge whether or not I want to put effort into trying to get somewhere.
yeah,
Because for me, and also as you mature, you just don't have the strength. You know what I mean? To like,
I know
sometimes
exactly
it's like
what you
if it
mean.
feels too hard to try to get into a room,
Yeah,
I don't need to be in that room.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And that's just because you find out later and through experience that that just kind of meant that it wasn't for you,
yeah,
and then you really worked to get in there, and then it was awful,
yeah,
because the people were toxic and terrible, and you knew that trying to get in there, so sometimes it's like when the opportunity, like, and Shanae and I always say, our opportunity is ours, because we've been in situations where we've been hoofing and trying to do the dog and pony show and do the dance and all that kind of
yeah,
stuff, and all of these no's, and then when those right opportunities present themselves, people are just going to be like, so what's your rate?
yeah,
So they'll just call you and say, you're like, don't I need to talk to? No, you don't need to talk to anybody. Like, we want you on this. You know what I
yeah,
mean? So
yeah,
we've been there too. So
yeah,
just understanding and knowing that, sometimes when you're at the beginning of your career, sometimes you do have to just uh, work hard to get those opportunities. But eventually, hopefully, it could just be where it all feels like ease. But
yeah,
life is life. So
yeah, yeah. Um, I'm not in the screenwriting space or even writing space, but I'm always curious how you and how people come up with, how do you say your rate? How do you come up with your rate of determining, okay, this is what it's going to cost, or do they tell you this is the salary of what we're going to pay you, type of thing?
Yeah. That's also, it also helps to have, relationships in place and people that you can ask, oh, is this good? Or, early in my producing days, just, and I don't know, why do I want to say this?
Yeah.
Yeah. People in these space, that's the other thing about being new to spaces, is that, sometimes you can get exploited, or you can work a long time at a certain way, especially as a woman, especially as a person of color, especially as a woman and a person of color. I've had people tell me, and look, don't take this job or don't accept less than this.
Yeah.
When I didn't even know that was, to me, that was, the height of it. Like, they're like, okay, don't accept less than this per week when somebody takes a job. Or if they offer you this, you've been here long enough if they offer you this to do that job, walk away. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes you get that sort of mentorship, and it usually comes from people who have been in these spaces for a very long time. But then that's where we get to do that with, the people who are coming behind us and with our friends and things like that, just to make sure that we're, keeping it 100 with each other, you know what I mean? And like protecting our creative output, because it takes so much to do a lot of this work. You should be compensated fairly.
Yeah, for sure. While we're doing this, let's go through a few comments here. Mr. Solomon, he remembers Flash. Yeah, I remember Flash too. I used to love Flash. It's Adobe Animate now, but definitely love that program. Miss Zelly is loving this for sure. And so is Granny. I'm loving these two young ladies. I told you they need to have their own show. We're going to talk about that afterwards, getting their own show together, because that would be a hit. I know, for sure. Mr. Scribe, Brother Don, what's going on? The Don is in the house as well. Don Dixon, I appreciate you. Mr. Scribe there. Zelly, gold wasn't meant for you. If it's not for you, it's not for you, and that's probably the best thing as well. Speaking about that, like I said, you are kind of, I won't say an anomaly, but you are unique in the fact that you're both Black women in this writing space. How has it been for you, and what's been surprising getting into these rooms as Black women? And do you see the landscape starting to change?
Oh yeah. I do think it's been surprising to see, and I think this is like probably within maybe even just the last 5 years, I would say, that people are wanting you to like come as you are, as they used to say at church.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like bringing your whole self into the room and your experiences. Where I feel like back in the day when writers of color got in, being heard, or people were kind of stepping on them in those rooms. So I've just been amazed and encouraged, by this, you know, the current generation, like what everybody is just able to bring to the table, and I think there's just a awakening that's going on just in humanity, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like the value, even some of the like conversations about toxic spaces that have been happening have been helping reshape the industry in a wonderful sort of way. So I'm encouraged. I do think like with all the recent, there's the strikes and all of that stuff, there's still some uh, we're still seeing the industry recovering from what's happened over the last couple of years. But I'm encouraged by everybody and what's going on, and just the little movements of change that have been happening. So I was surprised to see that, and I love it.
And I'm a little concerned because anytime there are budget cuts and shrinks, anytime there are cuts to be made and money to be taken away, it usually comes, from diverse projects. It usually
Yeah.
comes from the DEI.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
Issa Rae just recently spoke about that
yeah,
too.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we are seeing a lot that is concerning. I mean, it has a lot to do with streaming and the challenges there. It has a lot to do with, you know, risks that were taken during COVID. All this stuff
Yeah.
is coming back to and the strikes and all that sort of stuff. And it's like they're tightening up. And so who knows what that looks like for people of color,
Yeah.
generally. And we've been seeing, you've been hearing a lot in the animation community about just concerns about that. But
Yeah.
and AI changing the face of how things are working as well. So there's always something going on that will be something to weather, some
Yeah.
challenges in the industry and things that face uh, people of color specifically. But we'll see how it goes. I'm excited about a lot
Yeah. Yeah.
within this space, and even the technology, even though that's scary. But yeah, it's just I I'm a little more skeptical about what's going to happen in the coming months,
Yeah.
but also very excited
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
opportunities and just storytelling, just because it's how I breathe.
Yeah, yeah, and I got a couple of questions that kind of go along with that. You just mentioned AI. I kind of want to get your thoughts on it because, like I said, I've talked to both people on either side of the fence, love it, hate it, worried about it, not worried about it. I'm kind of in the middle. I think it's a tool, but you've heard these stories about, oh, okay, now I want to write a screenplay. I could just jump on Chat GPT and prompt it for stuff. What are your kind of thoughts about AI and how some people may be using Chat GPT? Do you use it? What are your kind of overall thoughts about it? When she did
Okay, look
that,
at
I
Shawnelle's
already
face.
knew. When she did that, I said, okay, she's got a lot to say, so I'm gonna just lean back here.
Sinead, you look like you
It's
were gonna.
well, look, I I mean, as an artist, if you when you the reality of it is when you think about it, it is terrifying, to think about the potential. Like if you're just thinking, with your artist emotions, it's like, oh my god, this is terrifying. But when you think about innovation, this is where we are at this
Yeah.
point, and AI isn't going. You can't tuck it back under the bed.
No,
You know what I mean?
that genie's
It's
out of
like
the
it's out
bottle.
of the bottle. It is happening. People are already using it. So it's like, okay, okay, how does this work now?
Yeah.
As a writer, as a creative, how can I continue to make quality work, quality human stories,
Yeah.
and find ways to increase the human value, while utilizing whatever technologies might be coming down the pipeline. But it's scary. My partner is a tech guy and all about AI. So it's just been like in the household, he was the first person to be like, AI is doing all that. I was like, what? It looks a little scary, but he helped to like bring me into like, okay, this is something we have to get up to speed with, because it's like back in the day when painters existed, and they would be like, okay, you gotta, we're gonna be painting the family portrait. We'll be working on it for 2 weeks, or 3 weeks. I'll be coming back with my paints. Then the photographer showed up. He's like, hold steady for 5 seconds. And it's like, Pop, we got the picture. You think we're gonna be, sitting dressed up for however long? So it's just like you have to learn the tools of the trade, even as artists,
Yeah.
and adapt,
That's
even
it.
though it's
Because at
scary. It's
some
very
point,
scary.
yes, people were using word processors. Is anybody doing that? You know what I mean? So you got to
Yeah.
adapt. So
Yeah.
even while be with your knees knocking, like, what is this? Just understand it at least, if you don't figure out a way to use it.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, that's where it's at. It's just really an interesting time to be alive and to be a
Y-
creative and to be in
Yeah.
animation too.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. This is definitely a great time as a creative. Like I said, I think when AI initially came out, I was like a lot of artists that were just really upset with the way, it was scraping people's work and things like that. I tend to look at it now as it's a tool to kind of aid you and make those kind of tasks a little bit easier. But like all tools, there's always going to be people that use the tool the wrong way. A gun's a tool, but there are people that can use a gun the wrong way. A car's a tool. There are obviously people that use it the wrong way. And like we said, it's a genie that's not going back in the bottle. And it's a technology that, okay, how do I use this? It was the same way before 3D animation came out. Traditional animators, when it first came out, were freaking out and really upset, and I don't want to do 3D, and it's just that type of thing. But obviously, we've seen it's not taking the place of anything, especially like what you said, the humanness of it. I don't think you'll ever take the human quality out of a creative work, but how, as a tool, can I use this to make some tasks easier than others? If you're a writer, okay, and maybe struggling for an idea or have kind of an idea, maybe seeing what Chat GPT spits out to kind of fuel those, you know, gears to go in to where to sit down. I know for me, I would much rather use Adobe's Sensei than try and do a path around, try and cut out an object. Why not let their AI tool make the task easier? It doesn't, again, take away from the creative process of what I'm trying to create, but rather than spend 2 or 3 hours or an hour, you know, clipping somebody out, and I can ask AI to do it for me and make the task easier. So I'm excited, like you, to see what's going to be done with it, because I think in the hands of true creatives such as yourselves, you'll see a lot of amazing things come out of AI. So
Yeah,
I've kind of shifted a little.
yeah, I completely agree, and I love that tool analogy.
It's a tool.
And yeah, also I'm interested in legislation though to
Yeah,
help
that still
protect
needs to be worked
creatives
out.
because
Yeah,
just like you can't get in the car and do donuts and
yeah,
you know what I'm saying, like that is our tool to get to where we need to go, but when you start doing all this crazy stuff, then
yeah,
you're going to jail. You know what I mean,
yeah,
or like those sorts of things. So I'm encouraged by what Gavin Newsom is doing here in California, at least. At the end of last year, somewhere in the fall, they were creating some um, framework for legislation and some beginning language to help protect jobs
yeah,
and creatives within all of this because we work too hard.
yeah, yeah. No, hey, I agree with you for sure. Um, like I said, it's the shiny new thing. So obviously people are kind of on it, but you know, there still needs to be a lot of legislation and kind of copyright infringement type of laws put into place to really protect the artist. So it's still almost kind of like the Wild West. People are just kind of shooting here and there, but obviously, like you said, you know, the automobile didn't start out with seat belts, so they
Yeah,
they
car seats.
learned
You
from
need car
the
seats for every size
yeah.
of a child.
It's like, oh, okay,
We came
somebody.
home sliding around the car from your two babies in somebody's
Oh
arms
man,
driving from the hospital.
it makes me think sometimes. It's like, okay, there must have been an accident, and somebody said, okay, we need to put some safety measures into these
It's
things. It's
time.
always that thing that moves it, progresses a technology. So it's like, okay, I don't think when they start, when cars first came out or, that type of thing, there were street lights. I don't know. Maybe there were, maybe they had a policeman out there, but he couldn't catch everything. So technology catches up with itself and you refine things. And obviously, as things happen, they put legislation in place to really make it more safer.
It's so true. Yeah. I'm looking forward to the legislation. Yeah, I think it's an exciting tool, and I'm not shunning what it's going to be doing in the world. I'm just like, okay, this is what's happening. I'm also I think creatives are going to be doing some more interesting
Yeah,
things
that's what I'm
with how
saying.
we tell stories, even in like real spaces and stuff like that. I mean, I think yeah, we're going to be seeing some cool stuff happening. So I'm excited.
Yeah, that's what I say. I'm excited to see what it's going to do in the hands of real creatives. Because you're always going to find those ones that just use it in an interesting way. For sure. I don't know if you've heard of Corridor Crew, but they do like visual effects and that type of thing. But they recent well, it's not recent, but a while ago they posted a video. They wanted to see if they could create an anime style animation using AI. And
Mhm.
it was pretty good. It came out really good. Obviously there were things they did themselves as far as shooting the footage and then running it through an AI tool to give it that anime style look. And a little short time after that, um, Aaron Blaze, I don't know if you've ever heard of Aaron Blaze, worked for Disney,
Mhm.
animator. He did a review of it because he was talking about was he afraid of AI and that type of thing. And, he loves it. But he could easily pick out the little nuances of the
Nice.
animation that weren't
Wow.
quite right. So
Mhm.
obviously it's still got a ways to go. But just the fact that they experimented with the different things just kind of opens it up for, like I said, creators seeing how they can use the tool to really tell their stories that they wouldn't have otherwise had.
I gotta check
Okay.
that out.
Yeah, I may put that in the link. Like I said, it's a really
Oh yeah.
interesting thing, and they've since done a part two, which looks a little bit better.
Ooh.
So it's definitely progressing, and obviously, the way AI is, it's a learning tool. It's just going to get better and better. But again, like I said, I still think it's really going to get reined in when they start really putting in good legislation and, like I say, copyrights and infringements and all that type of stuff, for sure. um, on that point of just creating work, do you feel like, and now being a great time for creators, do you feel like the big move is going to come from like independent creators, working on their own IP, such as yourselves, as opposed to maybe the bigger studios that are, been doing something their way for so long? Um, Now, with, like you said, the time that we live in, you got all these channels, you got all these outlets, you got all these outlets to get your stuff out there. You got all these channels to fundraise stuff yourself and get things funded. Do you feel it's gonna that big shift is gonna come from independent creators putting out their own stuff, telling their stories in their own way?
I mean, I think it always does eventually, and then the powers that be sort of catch up with it, and then you know what I mean. I feel like that's kind of the like a cyclical sort of thing. But I feel like the landscape for entertainment and traditional viewing habits and all that sort of stuff is changing so much that they don't even know sometimes like where their audience is. Like they're trying to track down the teenagers. They're trying to
Yeah,
track down, who are into gaming and other things, and like what does that look like? How are we telling stories when one audience is shrinking and then one audience is disappearing
yeah,
and then like all this sort of stuff. So it's like this is an unknown in a lot of different ways too. So now is the time to experiment with how you're telling stories, where they live. It might not look like a streaming thing in another few years. Who knows? It might look like at some point they were talking about the metaverse. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? It's some of
yeah.
this Roblox. What's the other the
Um,
sandbox? So
yeah,
all these different places. So you really just don't know where it's going to come from or where the next generation is going to have an appetite.
yeah, yeah.
So it's not, to me. It's just like I'm what's the word, detachment.
Detached
You know
from
what I mean? I'm detached from the how of it,
yeah,
and just more in the, just trying to keep my skills as fresh as possible, trying to keep my ears to the streets.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And just like also be in the enjoyment of my work, because that's what matters. As somebody bakes, bread old style,
yeah,
somebody will go over there and pay $300 for, a loaf or something like that. It's like the quality and the effort and the time that you're putting into your craft and all that sort of stuff is going to show, no matter how you do it.
yeah,
You could do it with calligraphy, you know
yeah,
what I mean? Or just something that just feels, and I think probably eventually we're going to get so fed up as an audience. This is just me as a thinking,
yeah,
with trying all the tech, all the AI and all that sort of stuff, that it's going to get to what's real.
yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like when people are just going to be wandering out in the streets trying to find
Listen, I love it.
somewhere to
Yeah,
go, like down an alley. Like, let me look and see what's popping. What is
listen.
going
That's
on out
why I'm
here? I
so
feel like it's like,
hopeful. Yeah, I've been seeing stuff where people are just out dancing in the woods together, just because they want to have like real human experiences. And it's just like people are going to, I think, just want to really just like feel things and experience nature and experience each other and humanity. So I think that's going to be happening. And yeah, I too am. I think it's always the present time is the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like this is the now. This is, if you're a creator, be creating in whatever the new technology is. When you look back at Issa Rae, who we love as a creator, nobody knew YouTube was going to be the thing,
Yeah.
when she was doing Awkward Black Girl and the web series hit, or nobody knew that Flash was going to fall into everybody's hands and people were going to be making cartoons, and
Yeah.
guys like South Park were going to be able to like be making stuff at home and getting stuff on television. So it's always the present time is the time to be utilizing the technology. And of course, like Shawnelle said, the studios are going to be like, okay, we missed that. We got to get on that. We want to work with that person who's doing
Yeah.
that new
Yeah.
thing that we were blindsided by.
Yeah. And I tell people, I mean, like I said, everybody, I guess, like animators, artists, that, yeah, I guess their goal is to get into a studio. But as you know, like I said, it's hard to get into studios. The industry is had its ups and downs. It's kind of going through its thing right now with a lot of layoffs and stuff. But if you're a creator, like I said, which is why I love this time, but you got so many avenues to get your work out there. Look, you created your own graphic novel. You kickstarted it. All the projects, like I said, all the tools out there. You got great tools like Blender that are free that allow creatives to get their ideas out there. That's why, like I said, I love this time. Uh, yeah. That's why I love this time because it's just a great
Oh,
time.
oh
And I'm a little
yeah,
older,
Don. We love.
so I understand. Like I said, while I love technology, I can appreciate. Like I said, I grew up. There weren't computers, there weren't cell phones, none of that stuff. But I do still appreciate technology, which is something you're not gonna stop. That's just the nature of life. Technology, things get better. I don't think too many people listen to cassette tapes anymore. you know, I don't think
They're
too many
going there,
people.
they're trying to do vinyl records, but it's like, yeah, you have to adapt or die.
Oh,
Unfortunately, I feel like, I mean, I don't mean to sound so horribly, but it's just like time moves on.
yeah,
And if you can't keep up, then it's going to be hard to, to continue to go forward. So I think that's why we're also trying to keep our skills sharp, as well as, going out into the woods and dancing with the with the groups that do that too. I mean, it's like you just want to have a full human experience, and technology is just making it more interesting and always has. So
Yeah,
yeah, I'm
yeah,
excited for where we're going.
for sure. Again, for everybody just jumping in, we've been having fun is not the word. I can't even think of the word because, like I said, these kind. And I will be, transparent. I love these kind of episodes when you get people that just have your type of personality. I don't have to do too much, so for sure. But for people that just jumping in, we're having an amazing conversation with the Gibbs sisters. Like I said, that rings a show. It rings a show. Shawnelle and Shawnee Gibbs, TV and film screenwriters for sure. And we're going to be taking a look at some of their work and kind of talking about just some of the things that they've done. So let's jump on over and take a look because they are amazing, not only artists but writers as well. So hold on, let's jump over here for sure and talk about some of this work here. Like I said, you've worked on a variety of stuff. Barbie, It Takes Two. And for you, what's been kind of the best lesson you've learned so far, and kind of the best advice on this journey that you've been on, that you've both been kind of given, whether separately or together? What's been kind of the best advice and lesson that you've kind of learned doing this?
Did you want
Anybody?
to? Oh yeah, go for it, Shawnee. Well, I think being flexible. Being flexible is just the key. Like we were talking about technology, we were talking about who knew that you would be able to start getting jobs on like Twitter or LinkedIn or Instagram. I mean, just being flexible to what life and technology has to offer is going to just be incredible. So we've just been able to just sort of just roll with the punches. I mean, and it helps to give your career longevity. Yeah. Shawnelle, can you want to jump in there? Everybody, I have to
Yeah,
hop off for just a second. I mean, just
I
I'm gonna disappear for just a second.
I
Okay.
think having the flexibility, like Shanae was saying, flexibility
I'll
to
jump over here.
work in different spaces, to work with different mediums has helped us a lot. So we've
Mm,
had to, even when we're working in animation, if you're working in 3D or 2D or a board based show or a script based show, or working in graphic novels or comics, it's all, you have to use different parts of your storytelling brain to
yeah,
apply to that. And I think the fact that we've had like umpteen jobs between us
yeah,
before we even got into animation or comics or entertainment, helped us to be very flexible and take notes well.
yeah,
Because sometimes you have notes from executives, sometimes you have notes from peers, sometimes you have notes, and you have to take all of this with a face that doesn't, like a poker face.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? People are going to constantly be judging and critiquing your work and you. People are going to, they'll write nasty reviews. They'll,
yeah,
of your show. They'll, it's a lot of, rejection, and even if you're not. So here's one of the things that I learned as a creative is that a lot of what happens to people on camera happens to us behind the camera.
mm,
So you are, you're going and you're hearing a lot of no's. You know how people talk about casting and things like that,
yeah,
or you're being told, hey, this is why we don't,
you're just not good enough or whatever. Like people are very honest in a lot of these spaces because that's what it takes to create this work. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But yeah, just having a tough skin has helped Shanae and I to survive a lot of things. You know,
Well,
you know, not one piece of tough skin, but like little sections that we've developed over the.
well, it seems like I said, that was something that I guess growing up that you guys had just in the developing the relationship and the bond that you guys had, having a tough
Oh
skin to
yeah,
kind of protect each other
and growing
in
up
this
in a
kind of
city like
space.
Oakland,
Yeah,
it's just like going to survive. I mean, in some of these in some of these spaces, because even growing up, like the girls were kind of more hardcore than the boys when you
yeah.
were, they were fighting a lot, or they were like, and then you had to like, I just remember, yeah. So you had to develop a lot of this stuff, so that helped us too, and our grandmother. Our family in Texas, that our maternal side of our family, and our paternal side are smaller people,
Yeah.
so they had to literally fight their way. They're like, you don't. That they used to tell us, and a lot of people know this phrase: you don't start it, but you end it.
Why do I hear this voice of Oprah Winfrey? I had to fight all my life. Jeez.
All
All
my
my
life,
life
I
I
had to
had to
fight.
fight.
A girl child ain't safe in a house full of men.
We're going off track, people, but we're having some fun here. So. Oh man. Like I said, just from your work, you've worked on a lot of stuff. I want to know, and this I like this one. This was pretty cool. The Marvel, like you said, you just kicked off. Well, maybe not just kicked off, but you're on a tour now of
Oh yeah.
your graphic novel. What was the initial seed of why you wanted to do this, and kind of where did the story come from, and can you give us a little background about Ghost Roast?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, so this is the page that you all are looking at. This is Ghost Rose. So Ghost Rose is a YA paranormal adventure graphic novel. It was written by myself and Chanel. And that beautiful art that you're seeing there was drawn by Emily Cannon with colors by Ashwarya Tandon. And so Ghost Rose is a story about Chelsea, who's a 15-year-old girl who gets into a little trouble over the summer and she has to go work for her dad, who's her dad's ghost hunting business for the summer. And so there she discovers she has a ability to communicate with ghosts, and these are the very ghosts that her father is trying to exterminate. So there's a conflict of interest there, but it's a coming of age story that blends mystery, the supernatural, and a lot of humor and heart. And it's
Historical
just something.
fiction, which
Yeah,
comes up a lot of our work.
yes. So we really have been enjoying this story, and it's definitely our roots are Southern, and we got our families from Texas and Louisiana, and we knew we wanted to tell a coming of age story about a teenage African American girl where she gets to go on adventures, and she also gets to deal with all that stuff that you got to deal with when you're coming up as a teen.
Yeah.
And so this book has been published by HarperCollins Versify on and it was published in January, and we've just been excited getting the word out. The reviews have been excellent. We're just really excited by the response from everybody. And yeah, it's been a great experience. And this is our first published novel with one of the big.
Traditionally, yeah, traditional post.
Yeah, yeah. Now,
Yeah.
Shawnee, you said you have a preview copy. So has
Oh
it
yeah,
been officially
yeah.
released?
Advanced reader copy
It
now.
released on January 2nd.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
it's been officially released. Mhm. That copy that Chanel has now, that's a very special advanced reader copy that the publishers they released to kind of get interest. But the cool thing about the advanced reader copies are that you get the color the like maybe 30 pages of color in the front, and then you can see the pencils sometimes and the inks in the back. So
Okay.
those end up being collector's editions. If you can get your hands on an arc of any graphic novel, they're kind of special items if you when you hold on to
I want to put my bid in. I want a
them.
signed copy too.
Oh
Yeah,
I
yeah.
awesome. And it's
definitely want a signed.
available in bookstores,
Yeah.
independent bookstores. It's available on Amazon, Barnes and Noble. It's available pretty much everywhere here in the States. And then pretty soon, this winter and spring, it'll be in France. It's going
They got a
Awesome.
French
international.
version.
So, and
Okay.
in London and the UK. So, yeah, it's a big deal. And we're really excited about it. And we'll be on tour this month. We debuted, had our kickoff in here in Los Angeles and Pasadena. Went to Oakland.
Okay.
We went to, and then we're heading to Seattle and Portland to close
Next
out
week.
the West Coast tour. And that'll
Mm-hmm.
be if you check out our website gibbssisters.com. It's the information is there. You can find where to buy and where to see us because
Yeah.
we're moving around.
Awesome. Definitely, like I said, all this stuff will be in the show notes. Miss Maggie, it's called Ghost Roast. And again, all this stuff will be in the show notes as well, where you can purchase it. Like you said, their website and everything. I'm curious, like you said, this was your kind of first foray into graphic novel. What did you learn doing this process? I mean, what were some of the things that, really kind of, were new to you, frustrating for you? What was the thing that really kind of stuck out to you as you did this, putting this together?
Graphic
Because it
novel.
is a lot of work.
Yeah, graphic novels take a long time to do. Having a team and having a colorist really helped us to with the time. Working with editors at a traditional publisher is very different from us working alone to do some of our self published works. So that was a new and rewarding experience because we got to work with a publisher that was an imprint of HarperCollins. It's called
Mhm.
Versify. It was created by Kwame Alexander. Their mission and goal is to bring diverse voices forward. We got to work with editors that really understood our voices, really understood Chelsea, our main character, and her world. And it was just a beautiful working relationship with our editors, making the story even better than it was, to help it to sing. So that was really cool and important in creating this particular book because you just don't get those sorts of experiences everywhere. So we're so just grateful that we got to do that for our first time with Versify and also have the backing of a large publisher like HarperCollins. So that was amazing. And even just just we're learning so much about the traditional publishing the literary world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How this all works and creating for young adult spaces and all that. So it's an education. It's exciting. It's a nice journey. I'm loving it, and I love that we're being introduced to this space because it's like, I mean, to be able to do so much in so many different spaces.
Yeah.
Helps me to feel like back in the day when people would be like, oh, you can only do one thing. You're just you're an animation writer, you can't do anything else.
Yeah.
Helping to just get rid of all that, the old school sort of notions of what a writer can do.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool, and what people are doing with technology and where writing and everything has taken us is pretty cool too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's been really cool to see what working with a publisher on the back end. Once your graphic novel goes out into the world, it's gone to so many libraries. That's the coolest thing because we were like kids who love the library. So we're hearing from librarians, we're seeing their displays and stuff, and the kids are discovering the books. So and just all the bookstores and places that a traditional book can go, where it's difficult, more
Yeah.
challenging for as independent creators for your work to go there. So to see that and to see the reception and just the way the librarians and the kids have just been responding has been
Yeah.
amazing for us too.
Well, you said, Shawnelle, that it's a long process. How long did this take to from initial start idea to it's out?
I think we signed in 2018, something like that. But we took a couple of breaks and stuff like that in terms of working on the book. But yeah, it can take anywhere from it could just it depends.
Yeah.
Graphic novels are their own
So they didn't
journeys.
give you
Some
a deadline. Oh, okay, you're signing it. We need to have it by then. They didn't put that type of deadline
No,
that you
they
had to
didn't. They
have it.
didn't put that sort of pressure on us because they believed in the book. Like they could have just said, "Hey, you know what? We want it, at this particular point, and it's not here, or whatever." So that's another thing about when publishers believe in what you're doing is really cool. That happened with our book too. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's just I mean, all of this animation, anything illustration based, does take a long time. We've been on, there are things that we can't talk about. I mean, of course,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
you signed your NDA, you started your contract however long ago, and you can't really say anything about it until you're given permission, but there's like so much that's underground, so much
Yeah.
that's been planted when it comes to animation, and maybe 3 years later, maybe four, who knows, sometimes in terms of the production process, these things take time, and that's why we need, that's what I mean when I talk about the fair compensation and the legislation and things that protect this work that we do, because um, it's important
Yeah.
to make sure that people are, compensated fairly and all that sort of stuff, not exploited for their work. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah,
And
I'm glad we
protected.
have. Yeah,
Like you said, it does, and I don't think a lot of people, like I said, realize it. You know, I've had this conversation with clients. They think it's you push a button or do this, and it comes out. Creative work does take a lot of time to do. Mr. Samuel loves it. Amazing work. Appreciate that.
well, thank
Oh,
you.
thank you, Samuel.
Again, Maggie, you can purchase it. I'll have the link. You can purchase it from HarperCollins.com. I'm pretty sure their website. Like I said, I will be showing all their information that you can connect with them. Is that something? And I want to ask you because, like you said, you don't like getting locked into, oh, I'm just a screenwriter, or I just do this or just do that. Is that one of the things you love about where you're at now? You get to do a lot of different things and just kind of flex your creative muscles wherever it may take you in whatever medium it might take you.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
boundaries. It's Afrofuturism. No boundaries. We can
No
just, we
boundaries.
are. Yeah, that's what I love about it. And hopefully we can do even more. So
Yeah.
that's the goal. It would be cool to be able to have a career in a retrospective when you're like 103. We'll be like the Delaney sisters.
Oh man. Well, I'll definitely be replaying this this episode for sure. But definitely be looking to have you back on for sure. Because like I said, and we were talking about this before.
Oh,
They were asking me how long, typically we're going in an hour and a half. So,
oh my goodness.
but like I said, as we kind of bring this train into the station here, um, because it can go on. Trust me, it can go on. And definitely, like I said, I'm looking forward to for sure having you back on and just
Okay.
enjoying watching your journey. Like I said, I'm a creative myself. I love just a lot of different things. Like I said, animation, 2D, 3D, photography, videography. It's just, being able to get your idea. And I always appreciate creatives that can get what's in their head out in whatever medium it may be, writing, photography, sculpture, you know, just getting your story out is, I think, the cat's meow. I don't know if that dates me, but it's a
Yeah.
big thing. Like I said, it's as a creative, it's you gotta love this time because there's just so many tools, avenues. Just if you're a creator, just do what. And a couple more questions. What impact are you hoping to have on younger people, especially younger Black women in this space?
I hope that our stories are able to get to them. I'm hoping that they're able to see themselves in a character like Chelsea in a world like this because I think it's really special. And even shows like Jessica's Big Little World that we've been on, the Barbie, we put little pieces of ourselves into this. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So when somebody connects with it, it's really cool and special. But then the fact that we're trying to break down doors for young women and men, um, I hope that we're able to do it in a way that is impactful, in a way that helps to change what they can do in the future, and how they can be, have a really good career in life doing that.
yeah, yeah. Shawnee, what about
Yeah.
you?
I mean, there have been so many people who just sort of like passed the torch for us, so many amazing writers and just general people that we look up to. I mean, that includes, Octavia Butler, Toni Morrison, our mom, um, and seeing these women work, seeing creatives, or even people from the Bay Area. I gotta
Our
credit the
friend.
Oakland hip hop scene for teaching us that you could be independent in your art form. Like all the E40 and all those guys who were
Oh yeah,
slinging their albums out of their trunk. They were like, "We're gonna get this music out," So we grew up like seeing all of that happening,
yeah,
and these people just influence us, seeing them express their creativity. Like you were saying, Don, I think as a creative or anybody that has a vision, an idea for something, sometimes the hardest thing is to bring that into reality.
yeah,
Sometimes you got your day to day gig, your family, your responsibilities that sort of get in the way of you bringing that into the world, and you never know who needs that.
yeah,
So one thing that I love with Shawnelle as my writing partner, and just having teams, is that we got the vision, and we have people. I mean, we have each other and friends and teams to help us bring it into the world. And that's just a beautiful thing because this gets passed on to the next generation. They can say, "Hey, I saw those Gibbs sisters talking one day. I saw them on the Don Rail show, Color Emotion. I was just sitting at home eating my chips or
oh
whatever." You know
man,
what I mean? And then that
yeah,
sparked something in me because we are sparking things in each other.
yeah, yeah.
And I hope that we can do that for all sorts of people, young, old, wherever you are, because we know that everybody has something to tell and something to do, something that they want to get out. We want to be, sort of ambassadors, or just when you see us, they're doing. I know when I look over at those kids, I know they're going to be doing something, and I know that might help inspire me too. So
Yeah, for,
I just love, having the outlet to do that level of
for
work in the
sure.
world.
And like I said, I love, like I said, creators of color, especially Black creators, because we bring such a flair to the things that we do decide to go with. They kind of remind me of the Williams sisters. But
Ah!
but you come
Yeah.
into you
Serena,
come
come
into
on, we
this
love them.
space that before wasn't open to us or wasn't really receptive to us, and we just come in and just change the landscape of how things are done. You mentioned it did before with hip hop and artists that were doing stuff on the street, clothing lines, everything. Just we do it with a certain flair that just resonates with people that they want to be, they want to have, they want to be around for sure.
Love it. We
And
will find a way. That's against
definitely,
all odds. It will.
flourish. That's the thing. You can never stop it. That's what I love about it.
No, for sure. And like I said, we had this conversation before the show, talking about it going into the 2-hour realm there. We're definitely coming close to the 2-hour 2-hour realm. But this has been, like I said, I knew again when I first saw you and was listening to you, I knew I had to have you on the show because you both just have this energy. And as everybody can see, you not only have your individual energy, but you have your energy as a team and a family, and I love that. As
Thank
crazy
you.
as my family is, I love my family. So it's always good to see, like I said, even interesting to see family that can work together collectively and accomplish such great things. And I know everybody has had a great time listening to this. Definitely, if you have come into it late, you can always check out the full replay on the channel for sure. But I would highly suggest checking this out for sure. You can catch up with Shawnelle and Shawnee's antics in these places here. Connect with I'm so glad I did. And again, and I've told you this before, I am so thankful and so appreciative that you connected with me in the first place, that you agreed to be on the show, and that you brought such great energy and value to the color of motion, because I definitely can and able to call you friends. And hopefully one day we'll be able to work and collaborate on
Oh
something
yeah.
as well.
And
But you
thank
can't.
you for
Oh,
creating this space to have us come here and have all these creatives in season 4. Congratulations. This is huge.
Thank you.
As you know, we're going to just continue to pick your brain about their systems because this is phenomenal. So
Yeah.
even without working with family, you know what I'm saying? This is a one-man show and it's
l-
incredible. So hats off to you
listen,
too. Yeah.
Don, and the energy you bring, to every conversation, the curiosity, the questions you ask, I mean, is just so valuable. We're so happy you're here, and so happy you invited us to play today.
Like I said, for me, it's fun and it's something that feeds my soul because, I kind of told you this before. Most of my stuff, at least work stuff, is kind of on the corporate side. But I've always had a passion and a love for animation. And, probably unlike you, as a child, I didn't see a lot of creatives that were black or a lot of characters that were black that looked like me. So this show that I do has put me back in this space to connect with creators of color that are really out there doing and working on some amazing projects. Again, go over to their website, the Gibbs Sisters. It's funny saying it's kind of funny, like it's a rock band or the Gibbs Sisters.
We'll become dropping an album
Pointer
next
sisters.
year.
I'm
That's
so
probably the next thing you're gonna see is come an album, the Gibbs Sisters. We're going way
It
off
might
the
happen.
tracks today. Connect with
Don't
them on
encourage us.
Instagram. As much stuff as you guys are getting into, I would not be surprised. Some kind of album or something. Like I said, I know you guys agree with me. They need their own show. But catch up with them on Twitter, YouTube. Go get the book. I'm definitely looking forward to getting my copy, a signed copy, for sure. Would
you
love it.
will.
But like I said, I am so, so thankful that you're now a part of the Color of Motion family. And, anytime that you're working on any project that you have, independent next graphic novel, you're always welcome to come back to the studio because I'm all about supporting family and getting the word out there for the things that they're working on.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you,
Don.
Don. Thank
Thank
you,
you so
everybody, for showing up
much.
and hanging with us.
If you two could hang out, I know it's been 2 hours, but if you could hang out for just 1 second while I close
Sure.
out the show, I really would appreciate it.
Oh yeah.
But again, everybody, please help me thank again Shawnelle and Shawnee Gibbs. Guys, this has been the best show so far. Like I said, I love these ladies. They have such a great spirit, such a fun spirit, as you can well see, for sure. And I will be getting them back on the show. So I cannot thank them enough for coming on and kind of being part of this family of ours. It's been a great ride. It's been a great show, for sure. I can't thank you enough for giving me a little bit of your time today, this weekend. As always, I enjoy doing the show, but I cannot do it, like I said, without you, the viewers, and without all my great friends coming on and making this just a fun space to bring you knowledge and value, for sure. Miss Maggie is going to get her copy, for sure. Make sure, like I said, you hop on over to the show notes, pick you up something, and if you do, snap a picture of yourself so we can share it on the channel there. Appreciate you, for sure, tuning in. Everybody tuning in. Again, this is just it's the highlight of my Saturday. It's the highlight of my week. Really doing this, and it's allowed me to build great relationships with great people in the industry. Make sure that you join us next week, because we're going to keep this train moving for sure. It's going to be a great show. So looking forward to my next guest, Miss Rabe Basir, visual effects producer with Epic Games. So we're going to have a fun conversation, and she's a Buckeye. So I always love connecting with my fellow Buckeyes from Cleveland, Ohio there. So definitely looking forward to next week, for sure. Everybody, I hope you have a great rest of the weekend, an amazing time. Make it a productive week. And I will see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Cheers, everybody.